crisis management. You've seen companies rise and fall, and through that time, you've seen them handle crisis, and a lot of them, they can't handle it too well. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite stories and how you as a business owner can better manage crisis, and how you as a shareholder can look at companies to understand where they're coming from. I'm your host, Kevin Gray, Digital Marketing Director here at SmallCapVoice. Once again, joined by Rab and Demetrius Thurston, and of course, Stuart Smith, CEO of SmallCapVoice. Let's dive right into it. Going to Rab first. Let's talk some horror stories. What have you seen?
So I started out in the crisis management industry, and that's because I started out in video games. And so everything's always a crisis. You always have either updates or updates that cause bugs. There's somebody always mad in the gaming industry, no matter where you're going from. And so we were always interacting with all these people. And one of the worst things is not saying anything, complete silence, and they just let the community make it bigger.
I like where you're going with that, because there's that idiom inside of the stock market: buy the rumor, sell the news. A lot of what we're talking about here, when you let your shareholders run amok, a lot of it is rumor. And so there is some merit to kind of letting that run amok. What do you guys think about that?
When you're a public company, the juxtaposition of you as a company against the backdrop of being a public company, there's a lot of layers to this onion that have to be peeled back. And we've seen companies and the crises that they fall into or stumble into be not even of their own doing. I'm thinking back to a client that we all shared a couple of years ago who really flew up the charts when a social media influencer took a hold of this company. Turns out that gentleman was fraudulent, and every public company that was in that well was poisoned at the same time. And this company really sat back and didn't do anything. They didn't know what to do, but they should have done something. They should have addressed it head on. It took too long. By the time they did it, it was very much a cookie cutter statement saying, hey, we have nothing to do with this guy, which made them look guilty by association anyways, because they didn't add any personal touch to it. They didn't say, hey, look, this sucks. You fell for this. We fell for it. We thought it was great while he was talking us up. We had no idea how he was manipulating the market. When you are a public company, there's a lot of different layers that you have to address. And I think it's more important to be forthright and ahead of things, proactive, not reactive. We want to see the storm on the horizon and start pulling in the awnings early, as opposed to just, hey, we just got hit by this storm and now we've got no roof. Being proactive really shows your shareholders an amount of concern on your part as a company.
That's why, as a marketer, I don't fear that bullhorn. The OTC market specifically, they are not a regulator. What they're doing when they put a bullhorn out there is they're saying that there is a public interest, just alert, that they want shareholders to know about. I remember sitting down with that client and I exasperately said, you have to just say something about this. And silence for a couple months. And it's really unfortunate because the shareholders took the rumors and ran with it, and it had some really detrimental effect.
I think the shareholders, being judge and jury in these situations, the shareholders do themselves harm. And so maybe this is off topic, but really they're damaging their own holding by being so quick to assert a theory. And then that theory catches fire, and we may find out, now in this case it's separate, but we may find out, which I've seen before, all of it was much ado about nothing, but the stock never recovered.
That would be putting the blame on the investor or on the audience, when ultimately the reason that they were doing that was because the company wasn't giving a response. If the company just gave a response, they would feel legitimized. They would be able to know what the truth is, and that would allow the company to spin their narrative. Some good stories that I've seen from this, by just answering the person saying, hey, we are concerned with what you're dealing with. We're trying to fix this and get it better, is that you can win people to your side. When they see that you're fighting for them, that you're in the same boat, that's all it takes for them to get back on your side. And so now they're the ones that say, yeah, this person answered me, they're working on it. And that gives you a little bit more leverage to continue to keep the boat afloat.
You're being way too humble, Jay. What Jay's referring to is we get comments all the time on social media from our clients, and they are shareholders who are hurting. That's really what it is. You can call them angry, you can call them trolls, they are hurting, okay? It's not fun to have like a 30, 40, 50, 60% drop in your portfolio. You got to vent to somebody, and I get that. And so a shareholder is, at the end of the day, they're hurting when a company doesn't communicate with them. And that's really what crisis management is. It is communication with the shareholders. And what's a shareholder? What's a stakeholder? Anybody who has stake inside of that company. We'll get comments every single day. This POS, this CEO deserves to be in jail. It's terrible. If you just leave those comments unaddressed, you'll get them every single day. Meanwhile, if you actually get out there and say, hey, we can't really talk about this too much in the public light because we're a publicly traded company, but we hear you, we appreciate you, those comments stop. I've seen somebody comment, the CEO needs to be put in jail. And then Jay here comes back in with just a message that says, hey, we hear that you're frustrated. We wish we could say more about this, but we're a public company. And so we're sure you understand our hands are tied. And that shareholder who just said that the CEO needed to go to jail responded back saying, wow, thank you. I wasn't expecting you to reach out. I'm going to buy more shares to support your company. That's what we're talking about. That's crisis management. If you ask me, that's the best way to mitigate a crisis.
There is an advantage sometimes to taking a second to collect the knowledge and information. As your company grows and gets larger, making sure that the communication between all of your different departments is there and that your marketing team knows what's going on and has all the information they need in order to go from there with whatever specific crisis is going on. A plan means little when it's not based in reality, I guess.
Speaking of a crisis right now, Demetrius Thurston has painfully low internet bandwidth, and so he crapped out that whole time. That's his own crisis to deal with in this moment.
But Jay, any final thoughts?
Silence is not golden. Even if you don't have all of the cards on the table, if you don't know everything, just addressing that emotional need to be heard and to be saying that, hey, we're looking into it, we're trying to solve it, is the necessary requirement for crisis management.
Yeah, I agree with that. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. That is exactly what this is. And your shareholders are running away from you. What you have to do is stay strong and kind of gain them all into it, lean into that negativity, and you can actually use it as a real positive and a catalyst for your company to grow.
If I've learned anything from watching companies attempt crisis management, don't try to lie. We live in such a digital age that it will come out. Not even like spinning a narrative, way beyond that, just blatant lying. I think the biggest in the past year would probably be FTX. And that kind of ties in with what Kevin was just saying, where yes, if you say nothing as the CEO, that is quite bad. But if you also lie, there's no hope for anything if you're going to openly lie and screw over quite a lot of people.
Well, thank you guys for checking us out. My name is Kevin Gray for SmallCapVoice and Supermassive Media. Thanks for tuning in.